Oho, o to będzie dobre. Veilguard Director lies. Dragon Age Veilguard Director claims sales don't matter. O, co ty gadasz? Czyli jak pracujesz w jakiejś firmie, to ile gra sprzeda swoich kopii, to nie jest istotne. Ciekawe. Pytanie, kto będzie wykładał siano na te gry? Kto je będzie finansował, jeżeli dysponujesz budżetem 250 milionów, a zwracasz 20 do puli? No, to może być dobre.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to figure out who's accountable for this massive failure. Yes, we are talking about Dragon Age the Veilguard and the game director. Now, I'm pretty sure this article is going to talk about Corin Bush, which at the end of the day, we all knew that this was going to come down on him. We knew that this was going to come down on Corin Bush because they are the ones who decided to put this ideology into the game, or at the very least, they are the ones that fostered the environment in order for this to happen. So we have an article that says Dragon Age the Veilguard game director evades question about sales and says that getting the game made was a miracle in itself.
Co? Stworzenie tej gry było cudem. Co ty gadasz? Wy po polsku chcecie napisy, już wam daję. Sorry, widzowie. Stworzenie tej gry było cudem.
Self-sad.
Now, I'm not surprised that this could be considered a miracle considering the game that we ended up getting was anything other than a Dragon Age game. If you guys played the game, or if you guys even looked at the game, or even looked at gameplay, you would notice very quickly that what you were looking at was not a Dragon Age game. It was basically an action game that had the skin of a Dragon Age game with terrible graphics and removing all the darkness that came with a typical Dragon Age game. Well, Corin Bush is somebody that advocates for this kind of ideology, and it's not surprising that they're going to dodge the question, but let's be real, it is in fact a miracle that this game came out, because considering it was in development hell for about 10 years and went through 3 different iterations.
Myślicie, ile lat jeszcze potrwają takie ideologie, takie gierki, takie wpychanie tego na siłę w momencie, gdy widzimy, że to po prostu nie działa? Bo to jak wygląda Dragon Age, to jest jedna kwestia. To, że on ma takie woke elementy, to jest jeden element, ale drugi to jest moralizowanie gracza. Trzeci to jest odejście od brutalności gier komputerowych. Czwarty to jest ciągłe gadanie o uczuciach, prawda? Piąty to jest cała w ogóle jego bajkowość. Ile to jeszcze potrwa? Ile innych IP-sów będzie musiało zostać zaorane? Czy to są IP-sy, które podniosą się? Czy skończą jak Gra o Tron?
Of existence, I gotta admit, they're probably not wrong. So let's get into this article, guys, from Phantom Pulse. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push this out into that YouTube algorithm. So it says the Dragon Age Veilguard game director, a man who pretends to be a woman and uses the name Corin Bush, completely evaded a question about the game's sales figures and instead claimed that just making the game was a miracle in itself. In an interview with Eurogamer, which, by the way, interview with Eurogamer, it's, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, Eurogamer gave this game a 10 out of 10. Why am I not surprised that Corin Bush is having an interview with Eurogamer, right? This is what I mean when we talk about Access Media.
No, rączka rękę myje, taka sytuacja. Jest dane tam, gdzie dali ci 10 na 10. No i co? Eurogamer ma kolejny artykuł. Dragon Age ma kolejny artykuł pozytywny o nich.
You guys know by now what access media means. This is what we see. We see them jerk each other off, essentially, where the game developers give out codes to people who they know are going to give them high scores, and then that establishment gives them a high score, and then what ends up happening is they get all the access afterwards, like interviews, free swag, press, all that stuff that comes with it. This is why they do it. This is why Eurogamer gave this game a 10 out of 10 and essentially called it the most perfect game ever. But in any case, Eurogamer Bush was asked, how has the commercial response to the game been? I've seen stories about sales, and they seem mixed, inconclusive. The game seems to be doing okay, but struggling to keep pace with Inquisition before it. Has it been a success from your point of view? How do you measure that? Bush replied, there's 3 axes that we can measure this by. What the team was able to do and put together, the pride that they could take in that, every game that is made, especially in the AAA space, where you're talking about hundreds of developers, timelines is a miracle. That they executed that quality internally, we consider that a success. Now, here's the nonsense.
To jest jak ten typ z czatu ostatnio, co wszedł w dyskusję, pisał coś, po czym napisał: Dobre, ja idę, uznałem dyskusję za wygraną z mojej strony i cały czas napisał XD. To tutaj jest to samo. My uważamy, że ta gra jest sukcesem. Ej, czy my już zaczynamy żyć w takich czasach, że po prostu możesz coś identyfikować jako sukces? Dokładnie, wykrzyknik wygrana. Rozmowę uznaję za zakończoną, wygraną przeze mnie. Mam nadzieję, że przemyślałeś swoje zachowanie, przestaniesz udawać eksperta. Pozdrawiam. No i ja się identyfikuję jako osoba z sukcesem i tyle.
Okay. They are trying to spin this into a super positive story about how they know that this game is tanking, but as long as everybody feels good about it, then that's okay, right? They try to pretend as if that's the most important thing out of everything. This is not charity. None of this is charity. What are we pretending as if your game bombing is actually a success? This is the spin that they try to put on stories, and the reason why they do this is because they know that financially speaking, they have nothing to stand on. When it comes to actual, facts and actual data and numbers with the game, they know they have nothing to stand on. And to try to put it lightly as, oh, the game is struggling to keep pace with Inquisition, struggling to keep pace, Inquisition sold in its lifetime well over 10 million copies. This game hasn't even sold 1 million.
Widz napisał, że wydaje mi się, że łuk będzie się kończył, bo się zmieniła władza z USA. Problem polega na tym, że wszystkie gry, które są aktualnie w developmencie są w dupie. No Trump bardzo mocno na to, na to naciska, no nie? Ja nie chcę tutaj dawać jakichś takich statementów politycznych, ale uważam, że to jest całkiem zabawne, że jeżeli była tak mocno wysaturowana lewica w wielu krajach przez ostatnie kilka lat, to jedyne do czego doprowadziła, to do radykalizacji względem osób, które rzekomo miała chronić. I niestety to widać na całym świecie. I to jest trochę zabawne, że próbowali z tym walczyć takimi metodami, że jedynie doprowadzili do większej radykalizacji. Szczerze, ja nie mieszkam w Polsce na przykład, prawda? Ale czasem sobie oglądam jakieś, nie wiem, sądy uliczne polskie czy coś takiego. Czasem na czacie ktoś coś napisze, ludzie coś w komentarzach napiszą. I to dochodzi do takiej sytuacji, że 10 lat temu, jak wspominałeś o kimś z zagranicy mieszkającym w Polsce, to ludzie normalnie reagowali. Dzisiaj, jeżeli ja nawet powiem coś o obcokrajowcach mieszkających w Polsce, to ludzie są strasznie radykalni. Pojawia się tak dużo negatywnych komentarzy i kurde, to jest, no niestety, no to jest po prostu kwestia tego, no jaki nurt polityczny był bardzo mocno eksponowany przez poprzednie kilka lat.
Copies at the time of filming this video. The game is bombing. It's being refunded in mass. You gotta be kidding me. And you're all trying to pretend, well, as long as we're happy with it, that's all that matters. Really? That's the story that you're trying to sell people right now. Okay, let them cook. He then continued, we're happy with the critical reception to the game. It's not common to have these challenging development cycles and have a team turn around and receive the critical reception that it did. In fact, in a lot of ways, that is harder path to take. So yeah, we're quite proud of the critical reception. Oh, really? Wait. Time out right now. So you mean to tell me that what you're focused on is the critical reception, meaning the fact that the journalists are all giving you high scores, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10. That's what you're focused on. And that's what makes you proud. Okay, and supposedly...
No tak, faktycznie, no, byli skupieni na tym krytycznym odbiorze, dlatego nie dali kluczy ludziom, którzy byli jakkolwiek krytyczni.
That is the harder path to take? How in the hell is it the harder path to take the critical reception route when you already know that they are bought and paid for? You gotta be kidding me right now with this nonsense. Finally, Bush stated, unfortunately, on the sales side, that's not something we can really discuss. Of course you can. Why would you be able to discuss it? You already know it's flopping. But of course, as we know with Inquisition, that was a long burn to get to those total sales numbers. Yeah, you're not getting anywhere close, buddy. Let's be real. You're not going to get anywhere close because, quite simply, I've said this many times over and I'll say it again. We don't live in a world of retail sales. We live in a world, for the most part, of subscription numbers. That's what they're focused on. So EA is focused on subscription numbers. This is why by putting their game, their brand new AAA game, day one on a subscription service, that is going to absolutely nuke the potential sales, retail sales anyway, that this game could have had both physically and digitally. People are just going to subscribe because it's cheaper to do that, play the game, and then dump the subscription. This is a failing model. And
Wiecie, czego my potrzebujemy? Coraz więcej systemów bankowych, które będą nam pozwalały subskrybować na przykład jednorazowo. To jest coś takiego, co niedługo, najprawdopodobniej w Polsce, bo my mamy bardzo nowatorskie systemy bankowe, mamy jedną z najlepszych bankowości na świecie. Wydaje mi się, że to będzie po prostu coraz to bardziej popularne, że dosłownie nawet prawa w niektórych krajach zakażą systemu subskrypcyjnego, gdzie nie będziesz mógł określić z góry, na jaką liczbę miesięcy chcesz subskrybować. Ja na przykład korzystam z czegoś takiego. Ja takie rzeczy właśnie jednorazowymi kartami, nie? Subskrybuję, ale wydaje mi się, że zostanie wytworzone coraz więcej systemów, które dosłownie będą dbać o konsumenta. A to wtedy to będzie dosłowna tragedia. To będzie tragedia dla takich firm, które żerują na tym, że ktoś ich zasubskrybuje i zapomni odpiąć kartę.
Keep trying to make it work, but it's not going to work in the gaming industry. The budgets are too high. You need these retail sales in order to survive, and you're just nuking yourself before you even get a chance. While Bush completely evaded the question about the game's commercial success, later in the interview, he seemed to indicate the franchise does not have a future moving forward. Of course it doesn't. Why would it? They're not making any DLC. They're not making any expansions. They're not doing anything. They pumped and dumped the game, and they're moving over to Mass Effect 5 so they can pump and dump that game too before BioWare gets shut down by EA. I mean, they know what they're doing. When asked why there won't be an expansion or DLC, Bush said the decision was ultimately made that we want to take the approach of making this the most complete, contained start-to-finish story that could deliver some of those answers and present new mysteries. Creative director John Epler shared a similar thought while comparing the game to Inquisition and its Trespasser DLC. The difference in the Veilguard is the story ends pretty conclusively. There is obviously a secret post-credit scene, but that's less of a here is an immediate thing that you now need to be aware of.
Nie no, zarządzanie subskrypcjami to jest jedno. Pozwolenie ci zasubskrybować raz to jest
Or
drugie.
here's a hint as to what the future will be. He then added, a lesson that I've learned, don't ever try to make a direct sequel to a game 10 years later because, oh my gosh, that is a challenge. Yeah, of course it's a challenge. It's a challenge when you're trying to figure out how you can ruin the last 10 years of lore. It's a challenge when you try to figure out how can you make a video game that the gamers who loved your game 10 years ago are going to absolutely hate. Of course it's a challenge. Man, you guys are so unbelievably, you guys are huge liars. It's insane. You know, it's so funny that they call us grifters, but here they are saying that the two things most important to them is the fact that they're happy with the game and that they consider it success, right? Even though it's not a success, and the fact that the journalists consider it success. So as long as the developers are happy, as long as the journalists are happy, gamers, yeah, fuck you guys. We don't care if you're happy. We don't count you as a method of success. We don't count our sales as the method of success. We could talk about everything else except for the sales numbers. This is an absolute joke. And this mindset is what is killing the AAA gaming industry right.
To jest właśnie kwestia tej pierdolonej, toksycznej pozytywności. Rozdawanie nagród za uczestnictwo. Ktoś coś uznaje za sukces, no i dyskutuj z tym. Ja uznaję tę grę za sukces, no i tyle, no i pogadane. Może ten sukces nie jest przejawiony czymkolwiek innym, ale ja ją uznaję za sukces. Bo my takie pokolenie wychowaliśmy. Wychowaliśmy takie pokolenie i co najgorsze, jest dużo osób w moim wieku, które próbuje żyć w takiej bańce, że to tak wygląda i dostraja innych ludzi do takiej wizji świata. To jest przerażające. No, jak my mamy, nie wiem, my jesteśmy zgubieni. My jako ludzkość literalnie jesteśmy zgubieni. Ja po chuj ja gadam w ogóle o tym, naprawdę, ja się tak czuję oglądając takie materiały, jak bardzo trzeba być zaślepionym.
Right now, this mindset
Wyjebać 250 milionów, zarobić pewnie z 20-30 na tej grze, bo no takie są jej wyniki sprzedażowe i stwierdzić, że ja to uznaję za sukces, no i chuj. Przepal 200 milionów i uznaj to za sukces. Ja pierdolę. O co chodzi?
right here, this toxic positivity, circle jerking nonsense. This is the major problem going on, and this is what we're fighting against. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.
No nie, to zabawne. To stare, dosłownie zabawne. Dla nich nie ma słowa porażka, oni są synonimem słowa porażka. Wiesz?